The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave to get change beyond we can do it together. When we look at the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting high. I wonder when it all goes now, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave to get change beyond.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
The scale of dealing with anti-corruption issues. So there is a learning curve that we are going through. What is important is that the government supports the development of the institution so it can accelerate very quickly on that learning curve and provide the resources so that they can move very quickly on the learning curve, and that the government does not intervene or interfere. And that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs. I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome again. Happy Friday to those in television land. Happy Friday to our silent supporters. Happy Friday to those in the chat. Remember, guys, when you come in terms of the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing, which will be greatly appreciated. Tonight's topic is political exorcism, and we have a special guest, Mr. David Tulloch, who Baron will introduce. Tonight's panel, Mystic Sensation, Baron and Anne-Marie, Pinkskew Green, and Melting Pot will be joining us later. Let me just welcome those in the chat. Truck Live, Bless Up Yourself, One Indian, Beverly Patel Cruikshank, Doris McCoy, Bloomy Coleman, Lavina Miles, Yukal Allen, welcome. Without any delay, I am going to hand over to Baron.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say once again, we are here in the space, right, in terms of disseminating well-needed information that we can make an informed decision as it relates to be facing a general election. We are just in the, I would say, the last leg, right? And I think we have, 10 days, Sister Spinks? Before we get into the general
10 days. Yes, 10 days.
All right, and so it is important. Well, tonight also we have, of course, one of our famous, most famous politician, son in the house, and trust me, we are happy to talk with him. For those of us comrades who, have known Francis Tulloch for the work that Francis Tulloch had done, right, is, performance in the politics, his contribution in the politics is wealth of knowledge and solid service. So we are going to, without any delay, we are going to bring Mr. David Tulloch in studio. And again, like father, like son, Mr. David Tulloch, I've seen that you have a wealth of knowledge. And as it relates
trying. But it's good to be here.
Yes. as it relates to St. Andrew Northeastern in 2020, you had to run against Delroy Truck, right?
Correct.
Is okay. So
Correct.
we are going to touch a little on that as well. But before you come in, just let me just give the audience some information about who is David Tulloch. Of course, David Tulloch is the son of Francis Tulloch. He's a multi-award winning playwright, director, actor, and singer with over 30 years in the performing arts. He has written and directed more than 100 plays. Wow, awesome.
There we go.
Composed 13 original scores and appeared in over 200 productions, earning 12 October Awards and a Prime Minister Youth Award. He has also made his mark in gospel music and as the former radio dan on Rhythm 102 FM. I don't want to take out so much of the limelight here. I want to just introduce you now to the audience for you to tell us, right, much more, right, in detail, who is Francis Tulloch, right, and let me begin. Who is David Tulloch? Sorry, my bad, right. So yes, Mr. Tulloch, speak to us as it relates to, your experience and your knowledge and some of the history where your dad is concerned as well.
Well, thank you firstly for having me. What I will definitely say, since you said history, all of this happened because in 1972, Francis took on the great Tony Hart then, and what a whopping defeat that Tony Hart received. They called him Little David. Henceforth, here I am, David Francis Anthony Tulloch. So that's how I got my name, because he was Little David back in 1972 with that winning Central Kingston. So you can just Central St. James. So you can just heard? Can I still be heard?
Internet is lagging.
Yeah, we are hearing you now.
Hello?
Your internet is in and out, but we are hearing you now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, right. So growing up in a household where your dad is this champion slayer of the poles, and everyone looks up to him, and he's the most kind, passionate, outgoing, charismatic, tall glass of lemonade, as the ladies would say.
Yes.
It was just a feat, and I admired him very, very much. So all that work that he put in, with all the records of being the only politician to win their seat in 4 different constituencies, that would have been Central St. James, Eastern Hanover, Northwest St. James, again, sorry, Chang, and then in West Central St. James. Those are 4.
Yes.
I'm here. Am I being heard?
You're lagging a bit.
You're lagging. Internet is in and out. So, all right.
I'm not sure because I have 2 people on this side.
All right. Go ahead now. Go ahead now.
Name the 4 constituencies that your father were in.
Yes. What were the,
Right, so
what were the 4 constituencies that your father had won in?
So that was Central St. James, Northwest St. James, Eastern Hanover, and West Central St. James.
Yes.
Those are the 4. So naturally, it kind of rubbed off on me, and then I decided to enter the arena as well. I mean, it's been a while coming. I've been doing a lot of philanthropic works on my own. I've been helping a lot. I give as much as I can, whenever I can, wherever I can. And so I decided to enter the ring as well, especially when in 2020 there was no candidate at the time. The then General Secretary Julian Robinson said to me that Northeast St. Andrew has no one contesting it on the People's National Party side. So I decided to enter. At the time, the constituency decided that, you know, they liked me, they liked my work ethic, they liked how the people reacted to me, and therefore I decided to give it a go. Unfortunately, it was around COVID time, and that said, we didn't have any mass rallies, or you couldn't talk to crowds like that. When you visited households, it was primarily people telling you, "Oh, we can't see you because we have COVID," and you know, we were just trying to abide by the rules. We didn't want to do anything out. So it was in March I was assigned the candidacy, and elections was called in September. So I didn't get the amount of time that I wish I could have gotten at the time. But I was happy to do it. I was happy to represent the party for that particular outgoing.
Okay, all right. So let me just dig in a bit as it relates to the northeastern constituency, right? Because the current Delroy Chuck is there, right? And I'm going to speak as it relates to representation,
Right.
because what you just said, I thought you said that as a result of COVID during 2020, you did not get to do effective canvassing. Is that right?
No, man, we still, it wasn't effective, obviously, because you couldn't enter certain areas. Certain areas
Exactly.
were, right. And also the time, we would have wanted more time to have done so. And I guess, you know, what's happening now with all the mass rallies and stuff, I did not get that opportunity because obviously you couldn't have more than, say, 10 to 12 people in any one space at any one time. And when you check it out, sometimes that 10 to 12 people, those were the team that you were walking with. So when you engage others and a mass came down on you, the police was in short order to follow.
Okay.
And then there was also protecting your own self from the COVID virus. So we were being tested right around the clock.
All right. Could you just turn your camera back on, because the people want to know who they are listening to.
They want to know.
Yes. All right.
Okay, yeah, it's frozen, but let it stay like that.
Okay, just let it stay like that. We will work with it like that. At least they are seeing the image. Right. So as it relates to St. Andrew Northeastern, right? Because we have heard on the campaign trail with the Jamaica Labour Party, when they speak in reference to, 20 years ago, and certain roads did not fix, and certain access to water and so forth. But you've been there by your dad's side, right?
Right.
In certain areas where you're certain constituencies where your dad represent, right? Was this true to the fact as it relates to that? Okay, all right, from the People's National Party side, there wasn't any form of representation in terms of, fixing roads, giving, pipe, tap water, and so forth and so forth. What was the situation as it relates to your dad representation in those areas as it relates to how the Jamaica Labour Party, on your campaign saying there was, lack of representation? What can you say in terms of then where Francis Tulloch was active doing the political representation and now, and making the comparison with who is there now, like Adele Raj?
Well, I can tell you. Well, okay. Let me go to Eastern Hanover now. That was, my dad was the MP there in 1993. Let me say this to you now. I'm actively helping the current candidate that's there. Her name is Andrea Perkis. I am on the ground with her, and she can attest to the fact that most places that we go, the constituents will tell you that it was Francis Tulloch that built their road. And since then, nothing has happened. And he only was the MP from 1993 to 1997. He did one term and built so many roads in that constituency. And since then, nothing has been done. So I don't know. And the current MP for Eastern Hanover has been there for 2 terms. 2 terms. He has done 8 years, seeking a 3rd term. And these roads have not been touched since. So I don't know what the GLP is saying in regards to that. Makes no sense to me. In fact, one of Francis's greatest works was providing roads right through all the constituencies that he represented. That was his main thing. As he always used to say to me, David, if the people can't get to work, them can't make no money. Give them roads. And he did just that. He gave them roads. I remember him sitting me down on the veranda one day and saying that he brokered one of the biggest contracts between the bank and the government to provide roads across Western Jamaica. So even when he was not the member of parliament for the constituency, he has been responsible for the road in somebody else's constituency too.
All right, stop right there, David. Let us stress on that. Let us stress on that a bit, right? Now, as we said earlier, that we heard right on Jonas, which is series of lies, right, telling people that the situation as it relates to 20 years ago, no roads and so forth and so forth and so forth. And here you have, right, the son of Francis Tulloch, right, is speaking in respective of the representation that his dad had done in terms of building many roads, right, in several constituencies, including constituencies, you understand, that he doesn't immediately responsible for, but as a serviceman and doing all of that service for the People's National Party, he extended its service in those areas. And so now here is the right shot. And this is going to help us as it relates to, right, the voters going into general election. As according to what David said, right, that after his dad as what? You have to say, less than 1 full term, because from 1993 to 1997 would be just 4 years.
Right.
And within 4 years, so people, I want you to look on this and make the comparison. Within 4 years, Francis Tulloch, right, has constructed, through the representation of Francis Tulloch, right, several roads were constructed. So the issue that we have as it relates to the Jamaica Labour Party, right, government, is to the fact that these roads are not being maintained. And David, what I want to speak about, the Road Act fund was scrapped by the Jamaica Labour Party, and that Road Act fund was now transferred to the consolidated fund, David. And you are telling us now that Delroy Chuck has been serving 2 terms.
Not Delroy Chuck. Delroy Chuck has been serving 6 terms in Northeast St. Andrew.
6 terms?
6.
Wow. And okay, what has he done as it relates to the maintaining the road infrastructure?
So you have to say that Northeast St. Andrew, as one of the more suburban constituencies, they don't really have a road problem per se, because a lot of it is main roads, and it's in Kingston, central Kingston. So the roads are not a major problem, but there are problems. There are problems, for example, there is the garbage collection. A lot of people complain about that. Sometimes the maintenance of simple things like signage. We don't have proper signage some places. There are travel fairs, thoroughfares that wants to be edited. Roads being too narrow. So yes, maybe they're not filled with a lot of potholes, but the infrastructure, there's a bridge on Elliott Avenue right there that's inhumane. When I was there, I had told the people then, had I won, the bridge was going to be one of my first things, because right now a hazard could happen easily. So I'm only hoping that Comrade Knight, who is now running in the constituency, when it's her turn, she will just Duo said, because it's still there for the last 6 terms as is.
So, and Delroy Chuck had made no improvement.
Not on the bridge, no, and not on those small infrastructures. You see, if I may be candid, I believe that a certain amount of people in that constituency is being catered to. Yes, so once it reaches about 5,000, then him don't need to do any more than that, because no PNP in history has gotten more than, say, 3,400 votes at any one time. So if he maintains 5,000 people, then him don't have to do any more, because he would have already won by mine. Or what I like about Comrade Knight's campaign is, so she's not catering to the 5,000 that he has been catering to. She's looking for another 10,000 who never met Delroy Chuck, who don't know Delroy Chuck, who don't care for Delroy Chuck, who wants to meet somebody to give good representation. Thankfully, it's only about 30% of Northeast St. Andrew is rural. So the 70% are not depending on any handouts. This is intellectual voters now who wants to see proper infrastructure, proper representation with integrity. So because a man is already comfortable in his slot for the last 23 years, no one has ever broken it, challenged it. Him don't need to change. He's comfortable. But here comes a young, bright politician, young, bright lawyer who has the people's interest at heart, looking for the other people now, who has never been looked for, who has never been visited, who has never met a representative, whether orange or green. This is a fresh new wave. If you notice, Stacey has made a lot of media appearances, and it's because of the waves that she's striking in the constituency. It's amazing.
Okay, I'm glad you say that as it relates to what political strategy Stacey Knight has been utilizing in that constituency, in terms of broaden the base by looking to care for, actually everyone within that area, right? As it relates to, in comparison to Delroy Chuck, who, as you said, just being catering for a max 5,000 and that's it. But she's looking now to broaden that base, which is very good. Now,
Right.
As it relates to, because you're very close to Stacey Knight, right? And obviously we are not speaking to Stacey Knight. What can you say to us as it relates to her personal mandate to drive within that constituency to push towards upward mobility, right? And definitely deliver the service that has been undelivered by Delroy Chuck?
Yeah, I think that her style of representation encompasses a lot. She speaks to the people. It doesn't matter what level they are at. I think her mandate of pushing representation where education is concerned, accessibility, opportunities afforded to everyone at every level, skills training. She has really broadened her scope on the possibilities that can happen within the constituency. And I only hope that fate is kind to her on this run, because I think it's the best I've ever seen it done from the PMP side. She is calculated. She has decided that this is her commitment, and she has not wavered once. So with her father behind her also, KD Knight, it's been a good look, and it says succession planning. It says opening the doors for fresh new ideas. It's really something to be proud of, where the People's National Party is coming from, because that constituency in particular, as a representational candidate myself, I know where it was just browbeating. You can't beat Chuck. You cannot beat Chuck. Chuck can't be beaten. But that's not the tune that's being sung right now.
All right.
It might be the very biggest surprise of this election.
I love how you say that. I am going to ask you one more question, and I am sure that other panelists will ask you some questions as well. But based on all the canvassing that being done, you are there with Stacey Knight, and you have, might be, walk some of the areas with her. I wanted to speak as it relates to the confidence. Do you, based on what you see, Do you see that? Okay, all right. It is looking good for Stacey, right? And it is going to be a sure win. It appears that the PNP is going to pin this one in the PNP column. What say you on that?
Well, firstly, let me just start by saying it's a great look. It's not a good look. It's a great look. But she's up against a titan nonetheless. And we don't want to be foolhardy and get ahead of ourselves. But it's a very great look. She is received very well wherever it is she is. And the people literally are looking forward to her representation. So I only hope, as I said, fate is kind to her in that regard. As I think it's time for a change. And as we say, time come.
All right. And I do agree. Let me just see back and have Melting Pot in the space. Melting Pot.
Thank you, Sir Byron. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Dave Tulloch. Yeah.
Good evening,
Welcome
sir.
to the sensation. You know, I would also acknowledge the rest of panelists. Inkskew, Sir Lord Byron, Lady
Good evening.
Medical Director, as usual. And to everyone out there tuning in tonight, you know, we are the Mystic Sensation family. And we are here tonight once again to engage and discuss matters at hand and to, you know, bring truth and satisfaction to the entire nation. So, yes, Mr. Tulloch, I'd just like to, you know, ask you a few questions as it relates to you being affiliated to the People's National Party and
Not a
being part
problem.
of the team that, you know, will come up against Mr. Delroy Chuck. Now, we know Stacey Knight to be a young, vibrant comrade. You know,
Yes,
I
yes.
heard her making mention last week at the regional rally in Crossroad that she was not looking for a safe seat, you know, to make her debut as representation into the politics arena. So I know that Stacey Knight has seen herself competent enough to come up against a whole fire stick like Delroy Chuck. I know you describe him to be a titan, but I differ from that because we are the titans around here. He's a whole fire stick.
No, but all titans have been defeated at some point in history. So here comes that time. Remember now, my name was given to me because my father defeated a titan. He was named Little David after that. So titans were meant to be defeated. Goliath, right? David killed Goliath, no sir?
Definitely, definitely. But I know Mr. Francis Tulloch was a stalwart, you know, in his time. But I am confident that Stacey Knight will win that seat and will oust Delroy Chuck as member of parliament for that constituency.
Sir Melton, I don't want you to forget, you know, I'm split between two constituencies. I have Stacey in Northeast and I'm with Andrea Perkins in Eastern Hanover, one of my dad's constituencies. So it's a good look both sides. The comrade leader was in Hanover with us yesterday. Thousands of cars, thousands of paraders. It was really, it felt like the time when DK won against Tulloch. The roads were blocked just the same.
Well, we've seen the massive turnout at all the PNP rallies so far, and we've seen it also on nomination day. You know, so we know that the PNP are in full mechanical mode, you know, well-oiled, ready to take on the road. You know, so we know the PNP is going to have a landslide victory. Me personally have that on my resume months ago. Because when I look at the landscape of the politics in Jamaica, yeah, and the history of our politics, you have never seen a party really get a third term, you know? The only party to do that is the People's National Party. Yeah?
Right.
So, an underachiever and an underperformer party like the Jamaica Labour Party currently will not pose a problem or a threat to the People's National Party, because Jamaican people are not stupid enough. there comes a time when Jamaican people can determine right from wrong, what is good from what is bad, and make the right decision. And as the slogan says, time come, I am positive that time has arisen and this kleptocratic Jamaican Labour Party government.
Right.
And the Prime Minister in question has so much dark cloud hanging over his head. At the moment, I know the entire party is in a panic mode. And so their heads are all over the place and they're not thinking straight. Because they are, wondering what will happen after the general election and the People's National Party form the next government. So on that score, I have the People's National Party currently to achieve 62 seats, and we are working on the one that is very problematic, that is in West Kingston. What say you?
I'm with you all the way, Sir Melting Pot. I'm a blood and fire comrade. So I am with it.
Yes, because the people need a government that can galvanize the country to the extent where the economy can start to grow again and we can start to bring back some semblance of unity, trust, and commitment from our leaders. Because far too long, this government has been in office for 9.5 years and has done nothing to improve the life of the ordinary Jamaican. They only caters for the minority. And so the people are thirsty for love, care, and empathy. And in Mark Jefferson Golden, I sure know he will deliver on that front, because Jamaica needs a 180-degree turn right now to bring back the international community to come back to Jamaica, where we can see investors coming to take a look and to make investment so it can enhance the young people's life, because they need job. They don't need promises. So, I know the People's National Party will definitely form the next government and will form the government with a resounding majority. What say you on that score?
I'm fully with you on that. I am fully with you. We have seen a change. We've seen a growth in the people. We've seen a new love for community. We've seen a new love for party. We've seen a new love for country. Just look at it. Everywhere the comrade leader goes right now, the crowds behind him are immense. They're tense and dense. It's crazy how he has just transformed this entire campaign so wonderfully. You have to give him credit for that. You have to give him credit for that.
And it's down to the work that has been put in over the months and years that he has taken the reign. And we have seen something. Yes, go ahead.
Now, what I wanted to say is that I think that this culture that we have of election coming now, so everybody running around now to do and catch up and fix up what they didn't do in a hope to win a bid to come back into parliament. But
we want them up that activity.
Hold on. Allow him to just speak on the matter, and when he finishes, then you speak. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Tulloch.
No, I just think that it's time come to cut that out as well, because too many times that a politician tell you, oh, vote back for us because, and then this road that should have been fixed so many years ago, now you're running to do it because election is next week. You can't be doing the work backlog. And I always tell the voters, I say, look, it don't matter where, what, voting for your MP is important, because that's the person who you're holding accountable, not the leader of that MP's party. You're holding accountable the person who is your MP. Now that elections are coming and the person is seeking re-election, you can't be judging him now on the work he's doing in the next 2 weeks. What about the 5 years? What about the 5 years that you were suffering? What about the 5 years that you were waiting on a savior? What about the 5 years you're waiting on the change? Because you did vote. I'm not talking to the people who never voted. I'm talking to those people who voted. You voted. So here to hold your MP accountable. Don't be bedazzled by the fact that they're coming around now and doing some little patchwork job, because that's all you're going to get for the next 5 years, until the next 5 years again. So you cannot let that sway you today. Think about the
All right.
like vote and water and vote buying that they
Mr.
cannot
Tulloch,
campaign on those three subjects. You understand? Because road is a priority that should not be left to election climate before you start to address them. Water is essential. That should be an everyday needs. And vote buying is a no-go. So we want them at those three categories that we know they like to use as their campaign tool. So when it comes to what we are seeing, you know, as it reflects to how dominant the People's National Party is going into the upcoming general election, we've seen even plain load from the diaspora coming in to vote. So, you know, the Jamaica Labour Party have more than they can bear right now as it relates to the support behind the People's National Party and Mark Jefferson Golin. And I am confident, as I said, in 62, and I'm working on that, you know, problematic one in West Kingston. And I yield back the floor.
You ask about Francis. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. David, go ahead.
No, you asked about Francis Tulloch and the work that he has done. That road from Lethe Crossroads right back up to Cops, right back to Burnt Ground, was built 100 days after his election. He did not wait until 5 years, 4 years rather in this case, to then do something to show the people. He immediately fixed that road within 100 days of being elected. You want to go back to the creation of things like the Montego Bay Community College and Herbert Morrison Comprehensive High, Cambridge Secondary. These were things, and even in Northwest St. James there, where he made the whole association for the craft and the transport and the micro enterprise communities near Flankers, Glendevon, Norwood. These were things that were done not at the end of the campaign trail or the tenure. These things were done earlier up.
Exactly. You know, I am happy how you speak about the first 100 days of Francis Tulloch and all that he had performed in comparison to, we have Andrew Honest and, you know, the entire 49 members of the Jamaica Labour Party who had promised, specifically Andrew Honest promised, right, that he's going to deliver several things in the first 100 days. And until now, we haven't seen one being delivered, including impeachment bill, right, where he would have worked on the impeachment bill to make it law, right? Well, I mean, if he had done it, well, the possibility of his impeachment would be in the air today. Now, without any further delay, let me just have Spinks, right? Because I presume that Spinks have a few questions to Mr. Tulloch. Sister Spinks, go ahead.
Yes,
Spinks, I didn't go through the meet and greet, but forgive me.
Yeah, but I know you're anxious. You're anxious. All right. Good evening to everybody on the panel. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Good evening to everybody who's watching this program this evening. Okay, David, I am from St. James.
Right.
And I have special interest in all of St. James. But my special interest is Northwest St. James because I'm a part of the campaign team. Our current candidate there, Alan Bernard, is a lecturer at UE, and he is there trying to take out another Titan, Horace Sham. Hang on here. So basically, would like you to tell the people who are watching what kind of work your father did in Northwest St. James, and to compare your father being there as an MP compared to Horace Shang, who is there right now.
Okay, so again, my father was a man for the people, right? He wanted the people to strive, do well, do greatly, and live comfortably. So when he won in 1997 and became Minister of Tourism, the small operator inclusion agenda, which benefited most of those doing craft and transport and micro enterprise in the communities near Flankers and Glendevon, Norwood, that was
Yeah.
made that was made accentuated at the time. That was one of the things, the forefront of his campaign agenda at the time, to give those people a chance to enter the small business arena. Now, I will say to you, Miss Green, that things and times have definitely changed. Northwest St. James is not the same constituency it was in 1997. A lot of different things have been going on, and for some strange reason, Harris Chang is able to stay there for this extended period of time. So I know that Alan Bernard, and I'm going to say this publicly, is a lion unto his own right. He has taken a lot of fight for the people, in defense of the people, and I think for those who are in that constituency who not yielding to the current regime, I think they will find that Mr. Bernard's campaign is a beacon of hope for the people of Northwest St. James. The people who want to see some changes, the people who don't need the lockdowns, the people who have to report to certain rules and orders, the people who are afraid to come out after certain times of night. I think that Alan's campaign will definitely fix some of those things. I have not met him personally, but for what I see happening in the media and what I know he is doing, I only hope again that fate is kind to him this time, because he can do it. He can
Yes, I
do it.
know. Yes, he
He,
can.
he has a following also that has been developing quite nicely. I think that the base of the People's National Party in that constituency are seeing him and really pleased with what he is offering. And I think they see proper representation in him. And to,
Exactly.
not because the deputy prime minister is a MP in that constituency. It was once a PNP run constituency, so it can happen again. It can happen again, and I believe that it definitely will. As when Francis had entered at the time, he was told this could be the end of his career, yet he convincingly, marginally won that seat. So people are there and people are willing for the change, and they will take it.
That is true. That is true because we are being canvassing on and being on the ground, and we can see people want the change in Northwest St. James because they're tired of not sh- not seeing any physical representation from Horace Chang. Because Monday on nomination day, while we were touring, we were driving on some roads filled with potholes, riddled with potholes, as well as roads that they just started to fix 2 weeks ago. You understand me? 9 years you're there, it did not fix the road, but now the road is being fixed 2 weeks before election. Not again. Not again.
And I think this amazing swing that's going in the favor of the People's National Party right now, I think people might be susceptible to change in that constituency as well. Firstly, there was rumor that the deputy prime minister wouldn't be running again. All of a sudden, he's running again. That means the JLP feels that they're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. If you are not confident enough now to step aside and let someone else in, then there's trouble in your camp.
Exactly. And he came there about a couple of months ago and promised that he would reopen the Glendevon Heart Center. This has been closed for how many years? And you have a heart training center in your constituency and you closed it.
And you're a doctor. Think about it.
Exactly. And on top of that, Montego Bay is part of is the tourist capital, and Hart is basically there to train people to work in the service industry for the hotels. Why would you close it?
Exactly.
You're doing the opposite of what Francis Tulloch did.
The opposite, the complete
The
opposite. I see
opposite of
somebody in the
what?
chat saying that. I see somebody in the chat saying that Mr. Tulloch sounded like he was a man for the people in his constituency, a true patriotic Jamaican. I definitely can attest to that.
All right.
Okay. And we agree on that. So I yield the floor.
Okay, but before before we let Mr. Tulloch go, right? I want Mr. Tulloch to speak, right, in reference of those candidates, right, that he's supporting, right, as it relates to telling the electorate, right, use this moment of time to tell the electorate why the electorate need to put them in parliament, right, for them, right, to do the people's bidding, right? So
Okay.
let me just give you the platform to speak to our electorate as it
Let
relates
me
to
make it.
inside the air. Go ahead, sir.
Let me make it simple and clear and pristine for all. First of all, everybody knows seeing is believing. And if you track back 5 years in the constituency you are in, it don't matter which constituency you're in, what have you seen that you believe in? What have you seen that you now believe in? Think about it. Northwest St. James, don't matter if the Deputy Prime Minister is your MP. If you want to go to Eastern Hanover where Mr. Brown is seeking a third term, or if you want to come to Northeast St. Andrew where Mr. Chuck is seeking a seventh term, what have you seen in the last 5 years that makes you feel like you want to believe in a Jamaica? Why you think so many people over the last 5 years want to migrate? The visa lines are long. It's only because Trump coming now that people getting backlash. But before that, they wanted to go. They didn't want to stay. Teachers were migrating. Teachers still not accepting the pay package. Think about where you are and how you want to live for the next 5 years. So even if the People's National Party is not offering what you would think, it's going to be better than what is there right now. Because what is there right now has been non-representational. And I just know that the selection of candidates, all 63 going into this general election on September the 3rd, I know that they are the right choice for Jamaica at that time. They will form that government, a cohort so strong that nationally we deserve the change. Time comes. Any which way you take.
And Mr. Tulloch, could you speak the names of those candidates that you are supporting? Let us hear and let the electorate hear as well.
Okay, so Andrea Perkis, Eastern Hanover, Stacey Knight, Northeast St. Andrew, and because of Miss Green, I'm now saying Alan Bernard, Northwest St. James.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your support.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you here, David Tulloch. We really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming. Right.
All right.
And wish you all the best. Right. And a wonderful weekend. All right. Thank you. Now, all right, people, let me tell you something. We have some bangarang here now. And we are going to get very active now tonight. Now, let me say this, right, as it relates to the level of criminality in the Jamaica Labour Party. Jesus, peace. People, believe you me, and we are so 100% certain that the Jamaica Labour Party going into a general election, right, at this era, 10 days away, is not about representing the Jamaican people. No, it is not about that. People, 100%, it is about them wanting to maintain the government to definitely conceal the level of corruption that they had done. Andrew Wallace and his administration premeditatedly. When I'm speaking to you people, I'm speaking to you from the bottom of my heart. Andrew Wallace and his kleptocratic government premeditatedly went in to create havoc on taxpayers and our society, bringing back our society 40 years backwards. We are getting some new revelation as it relates to Darrell Vaz. And when you listen to Darrell Vaz speaking to Dean Jackson Miller and the lies he told, the open lies, what we are getting and some information that we are pulling now, it is a possibility, Jamaica. It is a possibility, let me be careful with my words, that Darrell Vaz didn't purchase the buses. Up until now, he is not coming out as it relates to displaying the invoice. Darrell Vaz had admitted out of his mouth that the cabinet was in support. People think what I'm saying. Darrell Vaz admitted out of his mouth, right, that several inspections were done on the buses. People, the viciousness of it all, let me speak, is to the fact that Andrew Honest, Darrell Vaz, decided to use our children as political pawns. So what sort of care that Andrew Honest and Darrell Vaz have for the Jamaican people? Want to realize the two names that I have called? Because those two names create chaos for the entire Jamaica in terms of their outright misrepresentation of taxpayers' money. I want to be verbally corrected. And so then, what we are looking on is a government who is unable to explain where $3 trillion, how $3 trillion being spent. In many of the instances, purchase order and invoices missing. Come on. It is a dangerous trend. And what we want, some people want to put these people in. It is crazy. Now let us start the program because we just kicking off the program now. Let us play the first clip here as it relates to achievement versus fraud achievement. It's a disgrace. It's an open disgrace. But let me say,
I've said in the coming election.
Hold on. Let me say this, Darrell Vaz. You are going to be punished for this $1.4 billion. Regardless of what you are saying, you need to come and explain the $1.4 billion, Darrell Vaz. Long time ago, from the comments of this thing, as it relates to you, claim that you spent $1.4 billion to buy, to purchase decommissioned buses. Remember, I said from the instant, from the genesis of that, I said, Darrell Vaz, you are in big trouble. And now it is proven more clear that definitely, Darrell Vaz, you are in trouble. Let us play the clip.
I've said in the coming elections, there will be candidates who are under investigation for illicit enrichment, and the voters will not know who they are other than one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, our incoming Prime Minister. We called it, they confirm it, and we will win it.
So on our slate of elite 63 candidates, and he must be wondering why I'm sitting with the M in the acronym, because this is the modern infrastructure panel. We don't do the A, access to education, as yet. Rest, trust me. on this side, we can spell Jamaica.
I have been the doctor who decides who gets a bed and who gets to sit in a chair for days because there are no more beds. I have been the doctor who decides who gets oxygen because oxygen is low. I have been a part of the medical team that has decided who gets to go into ICU for that one available bed and who has to die. And that is not a responsibility that you would want to wish on your worst enemy, but it is a responsibility that is faced every day by our healthcare workers. You don't want to be those healthcare workers, and worse, you do not want to be that patient or relative. Billions wasted, millionaires created. I am not here tonight to sell a manifesto. I'm here tonight to invite you on a journey. It is a journey of creating a world-class healthcare sector. It is a journey towards good healthcare with dignity, where you are treated like and feel like smarty picnic. The people have suffered long enough. They have cried too often. Billions spent with lives not saved, but friends enriched.
Take that away. And that is going to be the starting point tonight. I want for you to listen to that. And I'm asking many of the Jamaica supporters, if you accept a healthcare system as it is today, it comes with tears, slow tears in my heart. When I listen to Mr. Dawes, billions wasted while millionaires created. Did you get that? Billions wasted while millionaires created. You know what's the crux of the matter, my Jamaican people? Let me start off, make it sleeps into your brain. My Jamaican people, under the Portia Simpson-led government, Portia Simpson run the entire country with $600+ billion. Let us start this. Let us speak to our electorate, particularly for those persons who are undecided. At this moment, I am somewhat surprised in terms of you being undecided. But nevertheless, right, we are going to continue, right, to speak straight into the general election. It is our responsibility to pass on the information to our people. So just let me just, let it creep into your brain. When we talk about fiscal responsibility, we are going to get to the healthcare system. When we talk about fiscal discipline, of how Portia Simpson administration was able to manage the country on a $600 billion budget. And all of us, we have to put ourselves in it. We witness Portia Simpson save the Jamaica economy, pull it from the prongs of hell, pulled from the prongs affair. We have seen an Andrew Holness government who came in and PR the way. The green clerks and the PR and all of that. And you understand, I'm a part of you, right? I came from the bosom of the poor and, you know, hard narrative to, you know, trick you, to deceive you. Lucifer. And so then tonight, what we need a political exorcism, and we are going to execute the demons tonight. Now, let me say this. So then, we were fooled, we were conned, we were scammed, fooled, conned, and scammed. Because we fly the gate and let in the pirate. That's what we did. Fly the gate and let in the pirate. So then under Andrew Holness-led administration, in comparison to a Portia Simpson-led administration, Andrew Holness' budget reached 1.3 trillion to operate the economy. Think of that. And the snake oil salesman is selling that as it relates to his going 10 years in Parliament. People open on head and think. 10 years in Parliament, he had not increased, he had not installed any new taxes. Then ask yourself the question, if Portia Simpson operate on 600 billion, just for simple maths, we're going to break it down, just for simple maths. If Portia Simpson operate on 600 billion, and him operate on 1.3 trillion dollars, you don't see that there is a $700 billion there in difference. Where did he get it from? Let me just reason the way Omi wants you to reason. Where did he get this $700 billion from? Do you think that, okay, all right, here is Andrew Holness, and you know, God bless him, so we're going to fall some manna from the sky. And so then manna came from the sky in terms of, you know, adding $700 billion as it relates to the budget. Where did it come from? It has to come from the tax plan. The tax plan. So then this is the snake oil salesman that, okay, all right, let us trick them. We want to sell the narrative that we didn't raise tax and we operate, you understand, under the circumstances of a miracle. And so then we are genius. We are genius. So we didn't, you know, there's no new taxes. And he sells that. He sells that and he continued to sell that. But one of the first cruelty that he had done in the 2015 general election, while he promised cheaper energy, and while Portia Simpson, right, survived the hurricane of an economic abyss, make sure that she is providing a shelter gap for the people of Jamaica, because this goes to the love and care of Portia Simpson, loving her people genuinely. Under no circumstances that Portia Simpson would have put herself in cash plus Olent and SSL to rob investors. And so then when you look in terms of what Portia Simpson did, in terms of the consideration of the cost of energy suppressing the people, what Portia Simpson did, Portia Simpson ensured that he puts in a protective mechanism as it relates to 350 kilowatt per hour usage, so that it protects the poor and needy, those who will not using 350 above 350. Right? That would somewhat appears most of the time for commercial usage. And so then Portia Simpson protect the poor. This is democratic socialism at its best. Democratic socialism at its best created opportunity that benefits all. Just not the poor. The poor, the middle class, and the rich. Democratic socialism look on every single Jamaican and said he or she is a stakeholder in the economy. Equal rights and justice and opportunity for all. And that is what, as it relates to how Portia Simpson shaped the economic policies to drive future progress and upward mobility. You know what grieved me? The snake oil salesman came in and promised that, of course, he's going to take us to the promised land. He promised prosperity. He promised 5 and 4. What happened to that? The man who he concocted with 5 and 4, missing on the look and the wickedness of people, missing, because he is a part of the corruption as it relates to money laundering, Andrew Holness money, and the corruption continues, my people. And so then Andrew Holness promised cheaper energy, but when he went in, what Andrew Holness did? He removes the protection. Tell me how Andrew Holness loved Jamaican people. He removed the protection that protects the poor and needy. And you know what he did? He had given the elite, yes, the neo-colonialist, the crony capitalist, all of that money by whitening the net. Who you think get it? JPS and the government. The government has 19%. But instead of he release the pressure from the people, he put on the pressure deeper on the people. And you don't see this? For those who are supporting Jamaica Labour Party, you don't see that. When you go to the supermarket, it is going to hurt you at the till. Because you have to pay more. It is going to hurt you at the till. It is going to hurt you as it relates to the affordability of medication. It's going to hurt you everywhere, every Nixon country, as a result of the pressure being applied. On top of that pressure, we have seen that the taxes that have been installed, he increased them. And yes, he tricked you. He's a 3-card player. Yes, the Jamaica Labour Party has not implemented no new taxes, and he continued to say loud, no new taxes. Because indeed, one of the worst demons you can face is the demons that mix truth and lie. And that is exactly who is Andrew Holness. Mixing the truth and mixing the lie. Yes, he had not installed any new taxes, but what he had done? Raise those taxes. Increase those taxes. So now you have to pay more. You have to pay more. It's no different than if those taxes that he had increased, if he had implement a new tax and charge, it's nothing different. One result, you are paying more. It's an increase. It's a reduction from your kitchen table. It is a reduction from your weekly budget. You don't see that? It's a reduction in your salary as well, because you have to spend more. You have to spend more for less. You have to spend more for less. And so then, this is how he tricked the people. And here he is coming out now to trick you again. Then ask the question, what happened to the 100 days promise that he had promised 9 years ago, and not one being delivered? So why now it is different? That within 1 week, he's going to deliver. Come on, people. Come on, people. We are facing now a general election, and they are coming out now, promise, futuristic references. They cannot relate to the past, that they had done this, they had done that. Futuristic reference. They are going to. They are going to. Right? The old arcanatist, the snake-eyed salesman. Look on our health sector. Let us go back now to the health sector. As what Dart says. Billions wasted and millionaires created. Now, listen to this as it relates to Christopher Tufton, because he's very, very dangerous with the line. Very dangerous with the line. Listen to Christopher Tufton as it relates to, as it relates to Cliff Hughes, right? He went on Cliff Hughes program. So listen to this, people.
Well, see it catch you there now, that bite you. So the health minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, is taking off the gloves. He says he's tired of taking the blame for what's not happening, going right in the health sector, despite the resources being provided to get the work done. Yes? He says, it is not acceptable, and my role as minister is to call it out when I see it, whether it is the supplier or the manager or indeed the patient. It has to be called out. I'm in that mode now. You know why I'm in that mode now? I'm in that mode now because I can't go to my cabinet and my prime minister, my minister of finance or my minister of legal and constitutional affairs and complain as I would 8 years ago that we need more money, said Tufton as he addressed the opening of the Catherine Hall Health Centre in St. James.
I can't go to my cabinet and my prime minister and my minister of finance or my minister of legal and constitutional affairs and complain as I would 8 years ago that we need more money. But I'm saying we have enough where certain things should not be allowed to happen. If we are going to demand more, we have to show a good stewardship for what we have. And all of us have to feel like we're vested in that. It's as simple as that. It's a very simple message. If I give a man a contract to put in an air conditioning unit, I should not be waiting 1 year after the system installed for it to give me maximum or optimal efficiency. As is the case right now at Savlamar Hospital. When I bawl out on these issues, it's partly because I'm frustrated, but partly because I think I have an obligation and I'm feeling let down by a process that is supposed to deliver more for the people, and the delivery is not commensurate with the expenditure that is taking place. It requires a reset.
Yes, but you wait too long. You wait too long to say it. Because the suffering members of the Jamaican public could tell you this years ago because of how they're treated when they go to the accident and emergency units and across the public health system. It's an open secret that the Jamaican public is not getting value for the millions of dollars being pumped into the system. Yes, the level of pilferage, thieving will go on from the system. Yeah, the attitude of some of those who work in the public health sector. And I say some because some are very good, very dedicated, very professional, very caring, compassionate. Others don't care a damn. Yes? And you keep quiet or try to finish it over the years because you don't want to anger anybody, Dr. Tufton. Well, see it catch you there now, to bite you.
Take it away. Take it away. Panel, have you heard that? I want you to listen. People of Jamaica, have you heard that?
Heard it loud and clear.
That Cliff Hughes is saying to Christopher Tufton that the level of pilfering, and me say it to the people, and me say it out of the mouth of Cliff Hughes, saying the level of pilfering that went on, and Christopher Tufton kept silent. And the Jamaican people, they are not getting value for money. Jamaican people don't hear for themselves, you know. Only hear for themselves, you know. Let me show you the level of pilfering what Cliff Hughes is talking about. And then we bring in the panel. But we want the Jamaican people to hear that from Cliff Hughes and Christopher Tufton. Right? Now, remember, you know, Cornwall Regional Hospital started at $2 billion. Then at one point, it went to $6 billion. And as we speak, they said they had spent $9 billion. $9 billion has been spent already. You know? And now, after $9 billion spent, as a card to Christopher Tufton, they are looking now as it relates to utilizing a budget in extension of $22 billion. People will not see that. People don't hear that. $22 billion projected cost for the completion of Cornwall Regional Hospital. And $9 billion spent already. And it's only an administration block that has been completed. Now, when you look at people, this is not funny, you know. Let us bring up this next document on it. Health Ministry faces increased pressure to explain billions of dollars unaccounted for. And I'm glad that Cliff Hughes came out, right? And highlighted that. Here it is, people. This is what Cliff Hughes is talking about. Health Ministry faces increased pressure to show how $830 billion was spent. See there? January 15, 2025. So, and an only story this. At this year, January 15, 2025. Let us read into it. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is facing more heat as its level of tardiness has increased this year. On a year, in spite of, you understand, them being scrutinized, them not changing ways, their behavior don't change. And yet you want to vote for your Jamaican Labour Party, you think they are going to change their behavior? Owing to its failure to present appropriation account for 11 years to the Auditor General's Department for scrutiny. Now the appropriation account is going to explain all the expenditures, you know. And for 11 years, the appropriation account cannot be submitted to the Auditor General, you know, where by law, by policy, by standing order, the appropriation account supposed to be submitted on a yearly basis. On a yearly basis. So here it is, that for all the time the Jamaica Labour Party, for all the existing time that the Jamaica Labour Party is in power, no appropriation account being submitted. Nothing where the Auditor General can look on, right, as it relates to understanding the expenses being spent. Now, let us move on. For the 11-year period between 2013 to 14 to 2023 to 2024, Parliament approved 829.6 billion of taxpayers' money, you know, or 10.8% of the national budget, you know. You hear that? 10.8% of the national budget, you know, the overall budget. 829.6 billion dollars represent 10.8% of the national budget, you know, for the management and administration of the health sector by the ministry. Last year, we reported that taxpayers and the Parliament were unable to assess how the ministry now spent nearly 700 million in public resources over a 10-year period, owing to a failure by the then accounting officer Dunstan Bryan, who run Regan in a people. Permit, right, to submit, the appropriation accounts to the Auditor General. Him can't submit it, you know, him run Regan, you know. Bryan has since gone off on study leave. Now you tell me now, if Bryan gone off on study leave, why did they employ Green? Not study leave and gone on, pan. So then why did they employ Green permanently? Green has been employed permanently. So this is a room out or a get out card for Dunstan Bryan, you know. Because Dunstan Bryan have problems in terms of the submission of the appropriation account. And so what? Christopher Tufton and Andrew want to tell him to take for himself. You are going to tell me that Dunstan Bryan is the permanent secretary for the Ministry of Health. Right? Big position. Getting big pay. And you jump gone past study leave. You gone past study leave. Eh? You're permanent secretary. You're permanent secretary. You're up on the creme of the creme. You're up on the top of the pyramid. So who you gone past study leave? And then what happened now? You gone on study leave. You understand? They employed Green. Right? Permanently. He's permanently employed. So you're going to tell me now that isn't that you're pulling the wolves over the people's eye? Because Dunstan Bryan can't explain as it relates to the appropriation account that need to be submitted on a yearly basis. Now, under the Financial Administration and Audit Act, Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis is required to audit the appropriation accounts and give an opinion on whether the money expended has been used for the purpose for which it was approved and verify whether the expenditure exceeds the amount authorized. However, Monroe Ellis highlighted that up to the time of reporting, the Health Ministry did not return or submit for audit scrutiny 2023 appropriation accounts for financial year 2013, 2014 to 2023 to 2024. You tell me, people, if this not real slackness with taxpayers' money. In December 2023, the accounting officer at the Ministry of Health and Wellness submitted 15 of the 21 outstanding appropriation accounts for financial year 2013 to 2014 to 2022 to 2023. However, Monroe Ellis said that the accounts did not meet the standard for submission as set out in the section 18, 17, 16, 1 and 2 of the 8.1. Yes. All right. She said the chief audit executive did not sign off on the appropriation account report submitted due to material inaccuracies. So it looked like they might try to fabricate some stuff. That's what it seems like it's saying here. Here it is. She said the chief audit executive did not sign off on the appropriation accounts report submitted due to what? Material inaccuracies. Additionally, 2 of the appropriation accounts were not accompanied by the required statement of explanation for cause of variances. So what's there now? There were variances that they have not explained. So the maths that Matt said, the Auditor General tell them say you can't get $70 out of $10. As a result, the reports were returned to the ministry for correction and resubmission. Then after the report returning, Dunstan pick up himself and gone. Who called people? Monroe Ellison Ministry has since advised that it is working with the internal audit unit to ensure the accuracy of the outstanding appropriation accounts and their submission to the Auditor General by March 31st, 2025. That gone. The FFS Act requires accounting officers to prepare and submit to the Minister and the Auditor General the appropriation account setting out the expenditure for the year against the approved budgetary allocation for months after the fiscal year. So everything that budgeted, the appropriation account have to explain all the expenditures. Right? Now, this Auditor General reminded the Health Ministry of the need to implement proper systems that will ensure the accounts are prepared and submitted. Only for me case send them to prison. Only for me case send them go prisoner. One by one, they go into jail. One by one, they go into jail. She said management has affirmed its commitment that with a now fully staffed final accounts unit, the ministry will ensure that the appropriation accounts are submitted by the stipulated timeline going forward, 2025, right? And when at the beginning of the financial year, April is supposed to be the beginning of the financial year. You understand? So then one's supposed to be submitted already, which we need to check out that. We need to check out that. Take it away. Let me bring in the panel. Now, let me say this. Panelists,
yes.
Is a wild ball bowling, heavy bouncing, and you have heard as it relates to Cliff Hughes melting pot. Right? That Cliff Hughes is saying there's a lot of pilfering and Christopher Tufton just not saying anything. That is what I'm getting. Right? Maybe my comprehension is weak and you understand I know that thing mean to say. But that is what my weak comprehension is getting. So melting pot, speak to us as it relates to the information we pull off here.
Well, first I must, acknowledge your assessment and you're totally right. You understand? But what I want to look at first and foremost, going back to what Portia seems to use and run the country as it relates to the budget. 670 million. 6 billion 700 million. Yeah. It's half of what Andrew One is using currently, But when I look at the exchange rate, it never devalued 100%. But Andrew One has increased the budget by 100%. And that should have raised eyebrow. That should have raised eyebrow. Because there's no way you can make an increase in your annual budget. And remember, your budget have to coincide with the currency where you trade with. But that currency did not devalue by 100%. But when you look at also nothing with the increase in the budget do. So that money was just a money that them flange around amongst themselves and mash up the economy and wreck the country. And we have to take a close look at the permanent secretary then. Because only for them head for roll, you know. Not just Dunstan Brian. You have people like Swell and the rest of them head for roll, them permanent secretary, them are work with the corrupted government. You understand? Because they did not hold none of the ministry officials them accountable for the high level of overinflated budget where them are used out there in a society as it relates to Cornwall Regional Hospital. Yeah, as it relates to some other things we see. So the permanent secretary them play a vital role, a major role in the corruption we see that take place in Jamaica. So we have to take a close look on them people there. And not for them to, get investigated. Yeah. But I think Big Mama cried towards, venting him anger against Tough Town. It's simple because not that Big Mama did not know what Tough Town was doing, But the fact that Big Mama said the regime where him affiliated to and where him voice him opinion on behalf of them is crumbling. And Big Mama know him have 1.3 billion. Plus him have him, bogus career to save. Big Mama is a real journalist. He's a propagandist. Him have that to save. So that is why Big Mama grill Tough Town the way him grill. Yeah? That is why Big Mama use certain word as it relates to high level of theft. You understand? Because Tough Town couldn't go anywhere else to conduct that interview, apart from around a Big Mama. Because Tough Town would ashamed to really go in front of a proper journalist, and conduct such an interview. But Tough Town feel compatible around Big Mama because Tough Town knows that Big Mama is a part of the scheme. So Big Mama calling Tough Town and I raise with him on, the $830 billion from the Ministry of Health, yeah? Where them can't see nothing feed. And right now it cause problem in the society. Right now it have Big Mama career in tatters. So Big Mama had half a brilliant. And Tough Town was telling lie as it related to him never know why the contractor them, like the contractor them a draw up the work, like him submit the fund and the contractor them give him a date, but them gone away by. Contractor them now get no money, man. Tough Town them a chop the money, them and chop a John and all of them. Yeah? I just true we reach them. The backlash with social media turn the spotlight on them and I beat them with it. And that's why you see Tough Town them find themselves where them is. If there was no social media, the GLP and Tough Town and all of them and Pumpa, all of them get where the robbery them are going. Big Mama would have sit compatible. Big Mama wouldn't be fretting, but Big Mama fret right now. Big Mama know what's coming next, winding up coming next. Everybody know what was going on in Jamaica as it relates to the overinflated budget them for the project. You can have a project, originally estimated to cost $2 billion, but currently it's gone $20 billion, almost. While I call it now, 120% increase from the original budget. That's not supposed to happen. So where is the permanent secretary them all along? they should have known the original estimation cost. So when them see all this money now, I make mention to those entities, they should have stopped it and have a careful look. We should have been seen purchasing order and invoice as it relates to the material where they must spend pan. But then again, a guy have equipment down there where I milk out the money. A senior man have equipment on the ground that is facilitating this high level of overinflated budget because him greedy, you know, him greedy bad till him craving with a A. So him have to get the whole of the milk where come from the cow as it relates to Cornwall Regional Hospital. The milk that the cow they don't know the breast no drop off. You understand? So everybody know where they're going. And I don't know where the world will ever know where they're going because we project it to the world. And everybody marvel. How can you have something estimated to cost $2? But at the end, and it then finish, it gone 24 and over. Come on. Something is fundamentally wrong. But it all point back to the permanent secretary them. And them assign off on the money. Just well we know fair track record and our background. Them like to deal with corruption money. That's why you see she get elevation to the height where she then now become cabinet secretary, you know. Because she put in the work for the kleptocratic government and the chief civil servant, which is Andrew Craven Holness. So they have to award her with a promotion and as such she get fair kickback pay. As we rightfully pointed out, we look on the salary for the permanent secretary them. And we know say the member of parliament, them secretary gauge off of that. Gauge by a 53% higher increase to the parliamentarian them in terms of the dollar. Right? Them earn $53 more than the permanent secretary them. But if you bring the permanent secretary them up to a certain height, then you as the parliamentarian them have to go higher, you know. So what Andrew do, they move the goal post from the permanent secretary them so as to award for themselves the high increase. And one such permanent secretary that benefit most of all than any other is Audit Sewell, because she was elevated from permanent secretary to cabinet secretary. So we know the scheme of them are run. But as Big Mama said, time catch up on them. When the Big Mama can come out and identify the time catch up on them, then the entire Jamaican must know the time catch up on the JLP government. Right now, them now in a head space, them in a panic mode. You understand? Right now, the man them never not think about even campaigning on a proper structure leading up to the general election now. Because they're not thinking about the election. These men are thinking about prison and all them going to lose all of them gone from the taxpayers. All them life are going to change and that will worry them. So when you see them come out now and behave like how we see them behave in a society, it's because them brains scramble. Them not thinking straight. They don't even have a manifesto to bring forward to for them supporter. All them a look is over the other side over the fence. Them a focus more on the PMP and where the PMP have in place than what them have in place for the people. So I can understand why the people them still are lend them support. Yeah. When them walk out on them campaign trail and them shadow alone should have walk. The people that mash up the country in a way where the country I don't know. But it's done because Mark Golden, you know, have the brain and the expertise as it relates to finance. Why we have hope so the economy can turn around. And I yield back the floor.
All right. Thank you for that input, Melting Pot. Now, Sister Lady Spinks, squeeze in.
Yes, Uncle Byron. From I know myself, growing up into politics, being fed and breastfed politics I'm a child coming up and listening to my leaders speak, all the PMP leaders speak. I have never heard them tell a lie until this day. From Portia to PJ, coming up, listen to Michael Manley's speeches, listen to Norman Manley's speeches. I have never heard them utter a lie out of their mouth.
True.
No, even on our present campaign, I listen to all our speakers, Comrade Leader, Jen Sek, our chairman, our candidates, and I've never heard a lie. My Jamaicans who are voting, our people do not tell lie on our side. That is my point. No, when it comes to VAS and the buses, I asked already on this program several times ago that if you will not trust a cokehead that lives in your community with $5,000 to go to the shop, why are we trusting VAS with 1.4 billion? No, he came back and cannot present any receipt for these buses to us, and it's our money paid for this, right? The other point is this: when you think about it, and you think hard about it, if he cannot produce a receipt, how did he get access to the $1.4 billion?
Good
There are
question.
question marks over the procurement process of these buses. There's question marks of how we got the 1.4 billion because now we are finding out the cabinet did not approve the $1.4 billion.
That's
But we,
problem. That's problematic.
but we remember when JLP as a party, political party, have an account with SSL. Vaz went there without permission and took money out of the GLP's account to pay his daughter's school fees overseas. So this man has access to money without getting approval from his colleagues. Something is wrong with that picture. Normally, every ministry goes through the Minister of Finance and everything is signed off by people. So you are telling me now, drivers have access to our taxpayers' money to dip in when he feels like and dip out when he feels like, and does not need to account to us. Something is wrong with that picture. And why would Andrew give him so much access to our money? He's taking their money that we understand. But even the GLP money that he took from SSL is from donation to the party. So when people are donating to the Jamaican Labour Party, they must think on these things. When you donate to a political party, it's for doing the political party business, not for the personal use for any minister of the party. And that's exactly what Darrell did. He went into the GLP's account, took out what he wanted to pay his daughter's school fees. That is his personal business. Now he's treating our taxpayers' money as his piggy bank.
Exactly.
Now let me mention about Mark Golding. Mark Golding went on another program and Mark Golding told us he only has two bank accounts. Remember, until the present premise has 28. Portia only has four accounts. Think on these things, Jamaicans, when you're going out there to vote. Now, let me go back to Tufton. Tufton came out and did that press conference, right? And Cliff has his like a sober moment because I believe Cliff is drunk most of the time when he's talking. But he had a sober moment when he was criticizing Tufton. Now Tufton admitted basically to us in an indirect way that he is there as Minister of Education, Minister of Health and Wellness, but somebody else is micromanaging his ministry. And he's basically telling us indirectly that when he gives people like Chopper John the money, it's been chop, 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 chop.
Yeah.
And all the chopping is going on. My Jamaicans, when you think about the $83 billion missing out of Ministry of Health and Wellness, and a missing permanent secretary of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, what to believe? What to believe did this man go on?
Exactly.
They present to us this fakeness, these lies, these levels of corruption every day. And I would like to say to my PNP and my comrades and my blood and fire comrades, when we take this reign of government of this country, as government of this country, we must be transparent. The people cry for transparency. The IC is asking Andrew for his transparency to explain his money. All of these things happening to us, and they cannot explain how the money is missing, how the money is being spent. They buy things for Jamaica. Where's the receipt? In Jamaica right now, if you send somebody to the shop with $5,000 to buy groceries, you expect a receipt of how the money is spent. If you send somebody to the hardware right now, you expect the person to come back with a receipt. If you send somebody to the pharmacy right now, you expect the person to come back with a receipt. So why these elected government employees cannot give us a receipt for how our money is being spent? That's all we're asking for. Girl boss, show us the receipt for the 1.4 billion. And you need to explain to us. Because listen to me, after September 3, lot of bangles, lot of bangles, one by one, we're bangling you up, one by one. And I yield the floor.
Thank you. And I'm glad you're reminding them of the bundle that they'll be getting one by one. We'll be bungling them. Right? And as I said, there was has to, right, tell us what he had done with $1.4 billion. Now let us get more serious. When we have a prime minister, right? I mean, gone rogue, kleptocratic government, and even want to attack, right, his own anti-corruption real guards, then you know that something is wrong. You know that something is fundamentally wrong. Any prime minister and president are, globally speaking, from once he or she begins to attack, right, the anti-corruption system, obviously, you know that something is wrong. Now, let us get to this clip because we are going to juggle down, right? And we are not going to ease him. This is not a 9-day talk. And honest, this is not a 9-day talk. We are not going to forget, right, in terms of what you have done, you and your kleptocratic government has done. So let us ring it in your ears.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has taken a bold step by challenging the Integrity Commission's ability to investigate public officials for illicit enrichment. In a surprising move, he's asking the Supreme Court to strike down parts of the law that give the IC its power, claiming it's unfair and unconstitutional. Holness argues that the recent report from the IC, which looked into his financial dealings, was not only wrong, but also released with bad intentions. He believes the report, tabled in Parliament, was meant to embarrass him and damage his reputation. This challenge could have major consequences as it might also affect investigations into the other politicians. Holness isn't just defending himself, he's fighting to protect his business and charity organizations as well. Now it's up to the courts to decide whether the IC overstepped its boundaries and if the law needs to be changed. This case could reshape how public officials are held accountable in Jamaica.
Sounds like he has something to hide.
It certainly raises eyebrows when a sitting prime minister takes legal action to challenge a law designed to investigate corruption among public officials. While Andrew Holness claims the Integrity Commission's IC report was intended to embarrass him and was done in bad faith, the move to have the law declared unconstitutional could easily make people wonder if there's more beneath the surface. Whenever a leader pushes back this strongly against an investigation, it often leads to speculation about whether there's something being hidden. Instead of addressing the report head on and clearing his name through transparency, this legal battle could give the impression that Holness is trying to avoid scrutiny. Of course, he's entitled to defend his reputation, but fighting the IC in court opens the door for more questions and doubts about what the report might have revealed. In situations like this, actions can speak louder than words, and to some, this legal maneuvering might seem like he's not ready for the full light of accountability.
I wonder if he realizes that the general election is next year. Is he planning to win again while acting so suspiciously regarding the Integrity Commission, even though he has many party supporters defending his actions?
It's definitely a risky move for Andrew Holness to be challenged.
So that is how barefaced Andrew Holness is, right? You know, after all that he had done, seeking a third term, because he wanted to continue to suppress the system, right? Now, let us listen to this.
This government has delivered on your behalf. The Prime Minister came in a jersey which says to the back of it, builder, and you have to agree that he has been building Jamaica. He's building Jamaica for all Jamaicans. I remember a former convention of my own political party, during which a guest speaker said to us that building a country is like filling a bucket with water. Day by day, teaspoon by teaspoon, cup by cup, you fill the bucket with water. But it only takes one fool to come and kick over the bucket and mash up the country in one day. I said to you, don't let nobody come and kick over your bucket of water.
Hold on. I want to ask Jamaica something. I really want to ask Jamaica.
No, man, I didn't get dropped off female as a baby.
Now, let me ask. I want to ask Jamaica something. Is this right sort of representation of our taxpayers' money, hard working money, hard earning money, paying someone like this? Huh? What is his personal mandate? This is what we are paying for. And this is what the Jamaica Labour Party administration is giving to us. Eh? Don't let them kick over the bucket. No, this is just unbelievable, people. Let us show him, right, as I come to him, that Andrew Holness is building the country. That's what he said. Andrew Holness is building the country. Now, my Jamaican people, if Andrew Holness is building the country, then of course, we shouldn't have these sort of corruption issues, and we shouldn't losing places as it relates to the corruption index. We shouldn't. The corruption index should have speak about the Prime Minister, you know, stellar performance. And then how did we lose 2 places downwards? 2 places downwards as it relates to the corruption index. Now, without any delay, let us lift up this and show the evidence as it relates to, as according to him, that Andrew Holness is building the country. Andrew Holness is building the country. Look at our healthcare, right? And look at our healthcare. Look at our education system, right? Look at security. Now, Jamaica Position on Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index fell 4 places in 2024 under Andrew Holness administration. Under Andrew Holness administration, right, the Portia Simpson-led administration, this did not happen. This totally did not happen. As a matter of fact, under the Portia Simpson-led administration, right, it was 2 places upwards. It's actually improved. Now let's look at this. Jamaica position under the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index has dropped 4 places for 2024. The country now ranks 73 out of 180 countries compared to 69 in 2023. The CPI was released at 12:01 this morning. Meanwhile, Jamaica 2023 CPI score of 44 out of 100 remain unchanged for 2024. A score of 0 represents highly corrupt, while 100 indicates very clean. Jamaica's score of 44 remains the country's best ever at the Corruption Perception Index, right? A feature previously attained in 2017, and this is actually when Mark Golden, right, had deals with the Integrity Commission Act, and that was passed, right? A CPI score below 50 indicates that a country has a serious corruption problem. Jamaica has been firmly placed in this category for 23 years. A poor CPI signals prevalent bribery, lack of punishment for corruption, and public institutions that fail to respond to citizen needs. Take that away. Now, Jamaica, I want to show something here. And giving people the reason to vote. Let me just bring up these 2 documents. This one document, this document.
First one.
Yes, we are going to bring up something again, and we want to remind people when we're going to the poll. And we have seen that Emily Shields, get me on Emily Shields, you know. And I would like Emily Shields again to look at this, an additional document that I'm coming up with. And watch your people, right? And the reason why I'm showing this is to show and defend the Integrity Commission, right, rights to defend their functions as it relates to investigate, right, members of parliament relating to their assets, liability, and income. It is as simple as that. But here on the Integrity Commission investigation, Andrew Holness lied to them. 2018, and I want to write this down as I go along. 2018, right? 112 million. 2019, I want people to just see this, you know. 111 million. We are just running off things. 2020, $131 million. 2021, 197 million. 2022, 200 million. We are running after. I'm going to mark it down. Now, this is the Integrity Commission investigation that revealed this. But my Jamaican people, look at Andrew Holness' statutory declaration that he submitted. Let us go into that. We are bringing evidence to bear that Jamaica must not make any mistake in voting for this man. Look on his integrity, look on his statutory declaration, right? Now, let us go into 2018 first and bring up that. 2018, here it is, people, total assets. Right? Let us look. Here it is. Lied. The inconsistency. 218 that the Integrity Commission investigators investigated. Right? He spoke of 112 million. And here, 2018, the one that he submitted, showing something different. $161 million. And you are going to tell me that the Prime Minister must not be investigated. Now let us go to the 2019. We just want to highlight something here. We continue to remind the people now here it is, people. 2019, 157 million. In 2019, that the Integrity Commission investigated, he said $111 million. Take that away on it. Let us go to the 2020. They are only showing the inconsistencies. Now look at the 2020. $172 million. The one that the Integrity Commission looked at, he said it was $131 million. These are serious inconsistencies. And while we look on the 2018 to 2022 and the previous one, right, and we look on this one, 2018 to the 2020, the one that being certified. Let us look. We know that he is running $470 million. $470 million, right? Through various accounts, through 3 companies. And you're going to tell me that the Prime Minister must not be investigated. This is crazy, crazy. Now, let us go to the show that $470 million, right? Yeah. Now, another reason why they are showing this again repeatedly is to the fact that to move Jamaica forward, we have to deal with corruption. If we are going to deny all of this and say, sure, it's a 9-day task, then we have a problem. Jamaica will really have a problem. Now, let us look on the difference in terms of what Singapore did. Let us bring up the Singapore video. That corruption has to be moved if the country need to progress. The country, Jamaica, cannot see any progress if corruption and this level of corruption is in Jamaica.
The phenomenon of the so-called Singapore miracle made society believe that Singapore is a country that has not only solved economic problems, but also uprooted one of the greatest ills of the modern world, corruption. This opinion is commonly backed up by the nation's leader, Lee Kuan Yew's words, who is considered the man who gave Singapore a new life. If you want to defeat corruption, be prepared to send your friends and relatives to jail. Here's another famous quote of his. Start with putting 3 of your friends in jail. You definitely know what for, and people will believe you. His stand is so radical that we cannot add anything else to it. But are things so serene on the incorruptible Singapore skyline? Let's check out the current situation of a country that has overcome corruption. But first, some shots for those who know nothing about this city-state. Singapore is the size of New York City and 2 times smaller than Los Angeles. It has evolved from a beggarly country to one of the world leaders in GDP and purchasing power parity per capita. The average wage in the country is $4,000. A novice specialist can expect to earn $3,000 a month in the capital, while the cost of, for example, medical services is lower than in Europe and the United States. Once Singapore was a group of swampy islands with no resources. Even fresh water had to be imported from the mainland. On top of that, it had a multi-ethnic population torn apart by strife, aggressive neighbors, a post-war crisis, and rampant criminality. Finally, there was the overwhelming corruption that had become the new normal. When the country was a British colony, widespread corruption used to be an everyday practice. After all, most of the country's population was Chinese. Their mentality prevented them from addressing officials without a gift. In the post-war period, the situation only worsened. The breakthrough happened when Singapore became a self-governing state within the British Empire in 1959, and the leader, Lee Kuan Yew, took over as Prime Minister. It all started with the Anti-Corruption Act, empowering Singapore's main authority, the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau, CPIB, to prosecute lawbreakers. The new government was dedicated to rooting out the abuse of power, regardless of personal relationships or exceptions. Investigations targeted cabinet members and even relatives of the Prime Minister. In 1960, a law was passed, the so-called presumption of guilt, suggesting as evidence of a bribe the fact that the defendant lived beyond his means or had a property that he could not acquire with his income. A remuneration received by an official from any person was considered a bribe until proven otherwise. An official who failed to prove his innocence faced confiscation of property, imprisonment, or if the best happened, a fine. Fines in Singapore came to an absolute point, while the CPIB investigated Lee Kuan Yew and his family more than once without any results. Several federal ministers, heads of trade unions, public figures, and top managers of state-owned companies were arrested during the CPIB's tenure. In the name of justice, the Prime Minister even jailed a close friend accused of corruption. Whereas National Development Minister Tay Ching-wan, who received $800,000 in cash for giving plots of public land to developers, committed suicide. In a suicide note addressed to Lee Kuan Yew personally, he wrote, "As a noble Oriental gentleman, I think it would be fair for me to pay the highest price for my mistake." Furthermore, to change the situation radically, the country's leadership started imposing new standards in the public consciousness. First of all, they reduced chances for corrupt practices and turned the 3 principles of meritocracy, pragmatism, and honesty into the 3 pillars of public service. Literally translated, the principle of meritocracy means the rule of the meritorious and is the opposite of kleptocracy, the rule of thieves. Its implementation relies on seeking out talents in every social stratum. If a person is creative and capable, he or she will be recruited into public service and will benefit from his or her strategic thinking, decision-making, and action using innovative management methods. The second principle is pragmatism, as the most effective way for the country to prosper and develop. The third principle is high morality. Society was vaccinated with so-called honesty. A special atmosphere of order contributed to the reduction of corruption, and the country started to implement a strict punishment system since Singapore has the highest death penalty rate. Even today, beating with sticks is still a common form of punishment approved by society. Basically, if you can't live without such things as spitting in the streets, chewing gum, smoking at the bus stop, and drinking beer on the bus, you'd better not come to this country. A huge fine is a minimum you can be charged for such actions. Another important factor in reducing corruption has been the radical increase in officials' salaries. Lee Kuan Yew argued that when people who hold public office are underpaid, they're more vulnerable to temptation. When the salaries of Singapore's top civil servants were revised in 89 and 94, they were raised to such an extent that they became the highest in the world. Thus, employees of state bodies have lost their motivation to take bribes. Increasing officials' incomes is still part of the anti-corruption program. Currently, the salary of an official is 2/3 of that of a comparable employee of a private corporation. Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, whose annual income is $2.18 million, topped the list of highest paid government leaders. Currently, the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau of Singapore employs about 200 people. It investigates no more than 200 cases a year, doing its best to bring the cases to court proceedings and likely winning them. Given its unlimited powers, the CPIB, with no need for a court order, can detain suspected officials and conduct searches, inspect bank accounts and business assets, summon any witnesses for questioning, and prosecute any citizen of the country. The Bureau employees highly value their work. There has never been a case where a Singapore Anti-Corruption Bureau employee was involved in corruption. Every official has to file a declaration once a year. It's impossible to bribe the courts in Singapore. The judicial system is extremely rigorous, and there are no mitigating factors for corrupt officials. Fines for corruption can be as high as $100,000, and in severe cases, there's a jail term of up to 5 years. Despite the fact that a person accused of corruption can be fined a large sum or even arrested, his property will not be confiscated, but only the assets acquired for corrupt means. Today, an attempt to give a bribe in the country is not just useless, but actually dangerous. Any form of service remuneration is considered a bribe, and each party bears its share of responsibility. Officials are not allowed to accept not only gifts, but also invitations that might put an employee of a government agency in a dependent position. If an official cannot refuse a gift, for example, under the protocol of a visit by a foreign delegation, he may accept it. Still, the official must immediately hand it over to his department head. The official may accept the gift only if they pay for it in advance at a price determined by the accounting office of the department. That's why officials are regularly consulted about the pitfalls of corruption. They are systematically advised on how to avoid getting accidentally involved in corruption schemes. Another common practice in Singapore is reporting a corruption offense easily and comfortably. Anyone can do it publicly or anonymously through special corruption kiosks or the corruption reporting centers. The media factor is of great importance in the fight against corruption. An official caught in excessive spending and accepting a bribe immediately becomes a front-page hero. Singapore's independent media have been empowered to become a real fourth estate authority. Today, journalists closely monitor the lifestyles, incomes, and expenditures of officials, their families, and friends. Journalists often draw attention to the fact that an official does not live within their means. However, this is not the last component of the so-called economic miracle. An important part of Singapore's modern fight against corruption is e-government. Singapore is not without reason. Called Pyongyang with high-speed internet, citizens come to institutions very rarely, since almost all government services can be obtained by filling out the necessary forms at home and sending them by email to the relevant authorities. Moreover, personal presence in a state institution without a special need is punishable by a fine as an attempt to establish personal contact with an official. The work of e-government also makes it possible to make most government procurement and the entire system of relations between business and the state transparent. Singapore expands the use of new technologies in court proceedings as well. The integrated system of electronic court proceedings using electronic forms offers trial participants a single point of access for active management of case materials throughout the trial. As of today, Singapore is an offshore, or more precisely, a midshore zone, ranked among the top 10 countries with the lowest corruption index. And finally, there are two striking quotes. The first one originates again from Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, who said, "There were two options for me. Either I get corrupted and I put my family in the Forbes list of the richest people in the world and leave my people with nothing, or I serve my country, my people, and let my country be in the list of the best 10 economies in the world. I chose the second option." And the second quote you can read in the comments below the video. What do you think about Singapore and how they defeated corruption? We're curious to hear your opinion in the comments. At this point, we get to the end of our video.
All right. We are going to now would like to open the phone lines and for everyone to try and for persons who want to participate, sorry, right? Anyone who has anything to say pertaining to the video, right, speak on the video in terms of having an understanding in terms of Jamaica, where we want to go as it relates to corruption, for us to progress. Likewise, Singapore recognized that corruption is eating them out, right? And as a result of that, they have to do the right thing in terms of government. And that's what the Singapore then president or prime minister said, right? That your best friend and families, if they have to be arrested, they are going to be arrested. Oh, so Pat is on the call. Let me talk to Sister Pat. Yes, Sister Pat, you're on the line. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good night, each and everyone again. I was watching it today as well. When I'm reaching late and I catch a part of it, you play with Cliff Hughes and Tufton, and so honestly, me not get it good, but me have understand what him say.
Yes.
Well, Christopher Tufton, let me tell you something. Do you look? Mercy gone and judgment come. You can't wait till now when you're back against wall, you're going to tell people, but you want not take blame. You had the head of the house. You ensure say rice and flour and sugar and we put them one and cleaning certain people to them. You can't wait till when you hear say people dead. That's ended from all you got that about a woman who you give to look for your picnic. So you look at them. You are the head of the health department. And box tap on your foot. So you know when it happen. You hold on a thief and confuse them. Tell us confuse. Because we come for no hat, you know. You are look at pity. But as me say again, mercy gone and judgment come. Jamaican people tired of no thiefness, and we tired of sufferation, and we tired of innocent of future, but we now pity them. Time come, brother. We don't want no pity found. Just throw you the towel and prepare to go over so. Would man at the here they sentence to no. Uno wicked. Look how much money uno a thief. Much a person get more when the belly full. No matter your crave, one your belly full, the belly just full. And you allow the hospital to run down. You allow the building, you allow the mechanism, you allow the doctor them to go. You allow everything in the health sector to go. I know you got that one you alone. We not be saying for you alone, we catch and you alone have paid the penalty for everything. No mercy for you. 24 baby dead now, 24 days. Young ladies have baby not tell young man them but they forgot because the birth rate a drop and them go. They are 3 seconds dead 6 months after the septic. From septics and septic what they call it, help me with them and marry me I know about so good. But that means infection, poison. Right? And those things and people dead from oxygen failure. It's a simple little thing. I have a friend, a good little friend. But when I was at my low one time, she run a partner and she put me in a partner and give me second draw, just repay my rent. Right? She don't know me for much. And she said, me I go help you. Go in a partner woman, give me second draw, just repay my rent. And when you make a woman dead from blood clot. Sentence be hospital, dead left in 2 baby because of negligent and we know no big doctor be a practitioner down there at the time. You know wicked, you know cruel, and you and journalists, you are going to bring all the money there. Now help you. And me here just a program say we are dead. When them see my walk, when them the large man them you so dead man in foot. Me say here one building. Me here is alleged. We use the proper word. Say where Queen come from again? Neither Vatican, that way Queen live. No, big put it so. 3 helicopters can land money one time. Now go help you. Now go help you. You cruel, you wicked, the blood of the innocent. The pound of shoulder, no kill over 15,000 people are here. Medical negligence. Plus if baby then we are born and the next thing, when people love one dead, them have to go at a funeral home. All the stick up in body, man carry them down, they go fling them down. You know, go away. Oh, and I heal back.
All right, thank you. In the meantime, we are waiting on others to call. Let us put melting pot in the space as it relates to what is happening in Singapore. And you know, melting pot, let us just argue this a bit. The Integrity Commission, I don't believe that the Integrity Commission has as much, I would say, teeth. Let me put it in that simpler terms. I think what needs to be done as it relates to Mark Golden, and I heard Mark Golden spoke on it, right? That more power need to be given to the Integrity Commission, such as, you know, that sort of prosecutorial power, right? That the Integrity Commission should be able to arrest and charge and put the case in court. Let it go in court and decide it. Because what seems to be happening as it relates to the IT Integrity Commission investigators to go through the Director of Corruption Prosecutor, or if they don't take that route, they have to go through the DPP. And we are seeing in instances where the corruption prosecutor is biased and the DPP is biased. How does that work? If we did have the Integrity Commission investigators have more power or have more teeth, right, for better understanding, and they now could now investigate an Andrew Holness case or any other case, right, relating to corruption, and they can able now to put that case in court. That would make a lot of difference, because here it is, to the fact that the Integrity Commission investigators, and I don't see where it makes sense. Why you create an Integrity Commission where the Integrity Commission investigators cannot prosecute these people? In Singapore, their Integrity Commission can prosecute. And you see the difference? You see the difference? So I do believe that going forward, as it relates to a Mark Golden administration, you have to give the Integrity Commission the teeth that it needs to do their job in a complete way. Because many of these cases, right, should be put in court and have the judge decided on them, as opposed to have a panel or the corruption prosecutor. That is my take on the matter. What say you on it, Melton Pot?
Yes, sir, Byron. You are so right, you know, because I mean, we all know it needs modification.
Yes.
It relates to removing the gag order. Yeah. And also, we have one other major obstacle that is setting back people being convicted, statute of limitation.
Yes, ma'am.
Them two things they have to come off at the books altogether. You understand? So the Integrity Commission has the right for the same need to be given more teeth so it can bite into these criminals.
Exactly.
Bite them the right way and send them to where they're supposed to get, you know, addressed as it relates to the justice side of things. The conviction we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I mean, when Andrew Holness, you know, come out and start to, you know, look at Singapore model and all these things. Too late, Andrew Holness. Because we learned some Mystic Sensation, myself, and the other panelists, them who all, you know, learn our tireless hours daily to echo the sentiment of the model of Singapore and where it was incorporated from. So many times we have made mention of Singapore. Andrew did not say anything about Singapore until recently. So Andrew Wallace should be ashamed of even going down that road. Because first thing, Singapore DPP has to work assiduously to get the cases them done. There is a high level of conviction in Singapore as it relates to their DPP. With Strike 5, we don't see that. Strike 5 is just there at a figurehead, holding down that post, not working as she should. So effectively, we have a backlog of cases. While Singapore, they try to get at least 200 cases off the books every year.
Exactly.
And so that sends a message to people in society. Hey, look, the DPP is not just already up. The DPP will come at you by all means. In Jamaica, turn it around and push it back in. That's all we see happening. You understand? So Andrew Wallace need to know when to speak and what to speak about. Because Singapore and Jamaica should be similar economy. You understand? And our people should be similarly in line with how Singapore people are enjoying life in Singapore. But corruption spoil the order in Jamaica. And we have to now move towards that. As I said, the gag order must abolish altogether. You can't have people now being protected by the gag order that we see are up for participation in the upcoming general election. Without that gag order, their name would have been mentioned and they could have never, you know, be out there and we now fling the battle upon them and the hammer and everything. Would have burn them like how we have burned Andrew Wallace. We know them in about two, we can't to rubber stamp them because it's in the system, you know, as it related to court and investigation. We don't want to call people name. But we know them. Jamaica know them too. So we are just asking for a lot of things to be modified when Mark Walden take office as the Prime Minister. Impeachment Act that have come back. You tell lie, you lose your job as a parliamentarian. You go to prison, you serve your time. So all these things now would bring a high level of transparency, honesty, and integrity amongst the people who are elected to serve the country. We wouldn't have what we see taking place now. With Tough Tongue come out and lie again. And I say, boy, him not take blame on him own. The first time I know Tough Tongue is a serial liar, you know, is when he was on an interview session with Wayne Lonesome. And he must say, fee salary can send him pick them go to school. And I say, my God, look what the man have earned, the man have all rice factory, so to speak, you know, because I'm the sole importer of rice. At the time, he never put it in a blind trust. It's still in his name. So we know them guys that lie and them practice corruption. Yeah? Tough Tongue, they are road all catch man and do up at night. Yeah? In a COVID. We don't hear nothing about that. That dying of the water. So everything that can go wrong in Jamaica went wrong under the GLP administration. Because it's a rogue government run by a bandolo prime minister, a prime minister who participates in high level of corruption. He likes that. That coming like him bread and breakfast. You understand? Him love that game. Because it show from in the 90s. Andrew Wallace's introduction into public life begins with baggage. High baggage. It would have the baggage where Andrew Wallace carry them first time country bus with the carrier on top with a lean from one side. Because the man is a damaged goods from the outset. Should never be the Prime Minister of Jamaica. is the worst prime minister to ever govern Jamaica. It's Andrew Holness. The young people government. Nana experience in Nana head. And so all his 48 members currently today, I think they are in the same boat sailing with Andrew Holness. Every one of them touch the cookie jar. Every God Almighty single one of them over the touch the cookie jar. That's why none cannot come out and make mention of the fact that the party and the country not running well. You understand? So when we see Tough Tongue now come out and I make blame, then Tough Tongue, if you're a man who like to make blame and not take blame, you know, should I blame the Prime Minister a long time? You should have blame him, you know. But me, I show Jamaican people, you see the game with them I play, just like how you see the $3 trillion gone, I see them with the 1.4 where Pumval step. Yeah, at a criteria that they move the money to disappear and missing. Because there was no procurement guideline, there was no accountability, there was no purchasing order, there is no invoice, no documents to back up nothing. Money just a share out, public funds just a share out to these guys, and then do whatever they want to do with it. Because they know the system, yeah, guarantee them to can do anything with the money. Because there's no traceability of the money after it's been approved, yeah, by the permanent secretary. Then we expect to happen with these health choppers where we have in Jamaica. You never get chopped and you share up for them one personal use. We know that the 1.4 billion with Pumval take at the time, yeah, we hear all type of different variances. Because Andrew Holness was heard in Parliament making mention of these buses. Then Pumval come and say it was approved by Parliament. But here is Dr. Crab now, I say something else. I remember Dr. Crab when I senior man, even though I'm ineffective, you understand, but in senior. And then now, when they realize a culmination of these high activities of corruption has finally brought the party to its knee, where none of them feel safe and secure in retaining them seats with them currently hold. And I'm sorry for the 48 and how much, 49 and how much, 63, 49 and 14. I'm sorry for the new 14 now when they're in this gang of corrupted member of parliament. Because remember, they are at a disadvantage because them can't win them seat based on the facts of the party or get a backsliding to the tune of maybe 63 and 0. Currently the score is 62 versus 1. And we still have time to capture that one lonely sheep, black sheep. We want to bring back that pastor to the rightful place where it belongs and get rid of the black sheep. So the party is now in a crisis mode. And this is why they can't function upon what they're supposed to be doing. They should be campaigning and putting out manifesto and galvanizing themselves in the appropriate way. What was them doing? Buying vote. Andrew, where you get the money from to buy the vote? Because the country broke, you know. So you can't tell me, say you use the taxpayers' money a campaign, you know. Because the teacher, them should get paid, the civil servant, them to get look after, the policeman, them to get them remunerate money. We don't know them from so long. But when we see we have the money and splash all out, and we don't hear, you know, come and say, well, then go and announce some party doing and what them fund to the party. We don't hear nothing about that, you know. But cash has splashed all over the place. 20,000, 30,000. Because the way we want to save yourself, you know. We know that drain the kit, you know. If the people ask me to pay all 100,000, I probably would have paid them. Because you just want to save yourself from prison. So people, These politicians over that side, them not really have the country interest at heart. They have their own personal interest at heart. And we cannot allow them to play the system no more. They have played it too long. They have used statute of limitation. Yeah, because Andrew should have get charged long time. You know. Them send him on vacation leave. Because I believe that what happened. And stage him home welcoming. Yeah, after them use statute of limitation. Remember the prosecutor said there is enough evidence for him should have get charged. But the simple fact that time run out. Now about that charge when he come over him do. Him create mayhem. He was met by an entourage. All singing, "Don't you trouble Zion." That was a disgrace, and that opened the international world eyes as to who is this guy. We have never seen a prime minister in our history returning back home with such a large gathering there to meet him. This is not King Selassie or the Queen visit. This is a garbage man returning back home. Not even the athletes them get that crowd and that support. Some people in a rapid, some Wobia not take people them. Because the party practice Wobia. The entire world know that. So it's a corrupted criminal Wobia working party we have around the country. Andrew the thief in this thing, the liarest thing, the wickedest thing, the most corrupted thing, the most evil thing that happening in Jamaica history. So we have to move him. And we have to move the rest of them. Pumbas and all of them. Pumbas they need to produce the documents them for the boss. The purchasing order is vital. Because that's the one that the people let me know. The permanent secretaries, them supposed to look on, you know.
Wrap it up in 1 minute, Melting Pot.
Yeah, the permanent secretary, them supposed to look on the purchasing order, make approval of it, yeah, and the money that is allocated. The invoice supposed to come back and you mirror the two of them together and you see the difference, but we're not seeing anything coming from Pumbas. So Pumbas, you can't take the 1.4 like how to take the 3 trillion. And I yield back the floor.
Okay. All right, Spinks, you have the floor to, expound on your information, right? And please close us out with your argument. All right, thank you, Sister Spinks. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Uncle Byron. How I look at it, is this. We have lived so long in a culture, a subculture of corruption. And it's time to change it to something similar to what we see in Singapore. When you look at our ancestors and what our government transferred to from the colonial to our independence, when back then in the 50s and 60s, when they were making the laws of this country, the people then thought coming forward, this generation will be respectful, honorable to each other. Now, as generation come from one generation to the next generation to this generation, what we see is an openness of immoral behavior being accepted and being normalized. We see scamming being normalized in this generation. Lack of respect, lack of good character, no respect for your name, your family name. It's all chaos. I come from a family where my parents and my aunts and uncles taught me that you must live as a respectful person in your community. Your name must carry some weight. Your name must ring true. You must keep your integrity. You must keep your good name. You must have a good character. You must be honest. And you must treat and love everybody you meet along the way. Now, the values, the morals and values of like that have been eroded. And most people, it's now normal in this society that we live in to be the opposite. So when Andrew is making a statement that the IC is damaging his character, Andrew, what character? We saw you. We know you. You live here. We know what you're doing. What good character? You lack ethics. Part of political science is studying ethics. Ethics. You lack ethics. You lack morals. Your moral compass was broken. It was stolen. It was damaged. From 1997, we can tell that you lack a moral compass. Because if when you were a student, you could not pay your student fee, and then a couple years after, you have $47 million while working for a charity, question I ask is this: if Seaga loved you so much, why didn't he pay your student fee, loan fee back then and clear your debt? So therefore, he did not know about this $47 million that you stole from his charity. You lack morals, and every member of that side lack morals because they sit there quite comfortable in the corruption. And what I love about my PNP and my comrades, this generation of PNP and comrades, most of all, is that they are taking a stand against NNN, against Cliff Hughes and the people over there that pretend to be journalists because they're all fake. And I'm happy. And you know, from when many comrades have been saying we shouldn't be going over there to do any interviews with them, many comrades have been saying for months no PNP candidate should go to NNN to do any interview. For months, many comrades have been asking that. And now it's over and done. And I'm happy they won't be at the debate because every time we do a press conference and they show up, one of them is always there asking some ridiculous, outrageous, unethical question. But you know what? We have good people with their heads on their bodies, and can rebut their arguments and put them to shame. And every time they're put to shame like a dog with a tail between their legs. And it's as if they don't understand what a shame tree is or what to be insulted feels like. Because when you insult them, it's like an invitation to come back to the next press conference. And I'm happy that tomorrow our debate starts. And we still have not seen their manifesto. And we need to know what they're going to be debating about. Why is that secret? But we know that every debate that we schedule to happen, we will be winning that debate. There is no question about it. No matter what they come out and say, we will win that debate. Every person on the PNP side. I mean, look at ProBox. Look who should to ProBox favor. Look who she's going up against. Julian Robinson. Please, there is no competition there. Mark Golding going up against Andrew. That is no competition there. And even if he gets the answers, the questions, and the answers beforehand, he's still going to lose. He lost to Peter Phillips when he debated against Peter Phillips, and he got the questions beforehand, which is illegal. To show that Andrew has no morals.
Has none.
No ethics. A debate is supposed to be out of your head, not from notes written down for you to read from. And I would like the Jamaican Labour Party supporters to understand the difference. You're either born intelligent or not. Mark Golding is intelligent. Mark Golding took 3 years to do his course at Oxford that normally would take anybody else 4 years. It took 3 years to complete it. Unlike Andrew, who went over his time and did several resits before he could graduate from UWI. Mark Gowley went to Oxford University. That's the difference between the two leaders. And I would prefer an intelligent man who is honest, who has a clean head, who has a clean heart, has a clean hands to lead me for the next 5 years. And that is why I will vote PNP now and forever. I yield the floor.
All right, so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, right? All of our subscribers, right? We bring about the end of tonight's show. We want to say a big thanks to the panel, and of course, you know, a big thanks to all our subscribers who continue to support us, right? So we are saying, right, we love you all and make sure that you all put the X beside the head. Let me just hand over to Wifey for Wifey to close us out.
Again, those who have not yet collected their voters ID, please go and do so, because it makes the process quicker and smoother when you have your voter ID. So please go and collect your voters ID before the D-Day for voting. And when they come to you to buy your vote, please shun them. Just shun them. Do not sell your vote. Do not sell your vote. This election is very, very, very vital, right? Because you see what they're trying to do. And if this man goes back into power, dog them all on the supper down there. And that's all I can say. So vote.
Before we go, I just want to remind the comrades that come election day, we all have to form a security contingent to watch the box from them leave the polling station, follow them all the way to the electoral office. You cannot allow these people to just move with the box. We don't trust them.
Seriously?
Because Andrew Holness, you know, he might try everything to win. He cannot win through the legal process, so we win through the illegal process. So we have to guard ourselves and the People's National Party from that type of calamity that I am pretty well sure that they have in store. So we have to form a security contingent, camera up immediately. From the box come out of the polling station, camera must be on it all the way into the electoral office. Please and thanks, because that's the final jigsaw to the puzzle. I yield the floor.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so go out and vote, vote, vote. It's very important. Every vote counts. Do not take anything for granted. Help the sick, lame, lazy, and indifferent who can't make it. If someone can help somebody along, please help them out so that they can be able to vote, because right now, every vote counts. So guys, I'm going to say have a wonderful and blessed weekend and safe travel on the gravel and be blessed.
All right, we're out. All right, Mr. Patel, big skill, Mr. Patel, Pat. All right, we're out.
I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.